I'd like to address an issue that's been in the news over and over again. Until now, I've chosen to take the high road. I've chosen not to respond in detail. But that changes today. Since that report came out, no one is above the law, including myself.
This is somebody who ran in 2018 on making promises that she was going to take down Donald Trump. And I don't know if these people just continue to think that they are above the law and that what they do is just never going to get found out. But this should be a really big wake-up call to any other Democrats who have some skeletons in their closet that someone's coming from you and it's going to be found out.
Well, she definitely had it coming. The FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office in Albany, New York, have formally opened a criminal investigation into the activist anti-Trump New York State Attorney General Letitia James to examine allegations of fraudulent mortgage transactions with accusations that Tish, they like to call her Tish, committed mortgage fraud by falsifying records to get more favorable loan terms. I think she's accused other people of doing that.
This complaint, criminal referral, is on fairly strong legal grounds.
And the person she put down as her husband, similar last name, turned out to be her father.
I think everybody deserves due process. I think that's been a theme that I've stated for the last couple of weeks. So we'll see where this goes. And if she's actually guilty of a crime, then she should be held accountable, just like, the president was held accountable when he got his 34 felony convictions.
That was no surprise. I knew the conservatives have questions. I think in some of it is specific to me. Some of it is more that I'm just an avatar for the legacy media. And I think a lot of people on the right feel, understandably, hey, we were aware of this years ago and you didn't cover it. You belittled it. And that's not, and now you want plaudits for coming forward and point to here and there. But as a general admission, I think that there are very few people in legacy media who, knowing what we know now, I look at the way I covered, the president, some of the trials of the president, I thought were, I think it is problematic when people run for prosecutor and promise to go after a specific politician. And both Letitia James, the Attorney General of New York, and Alvin Bragg, the District Attorney of New York, both of them did that. And that, to me, is problematic because you're not saying this is the offense and we need to bring justice to this perpetrator. You're saying, I'm going to go after him. And I think that there was a degree to which that was tolerated by the media writ large. I mean, there's so many things that the Democratic Party did to try to boost this man who was, who so many voters, including Democratic voters, had serious concerns about. In terms of the degree to which Trump is an actual existential threat to democracy, which is not anything I've ever said, but something that Democrats say. I mean, I think he's certainly pushing norms. I think he's certainly, testing limits. It's, my job is to cover what he does and leave the commentary like that to others, whether it's a Democratic senator or a never Trump Republican. But I certainly think that I certainly see a lot of irony in the sense that or hypocrisy in the sense that the party of democracy was actually in so many ways trying to prevent the voters from having an actual choice and having all of the facts about the man that they were entrusting with the most powerful job in the world.
Sam Anton, Joel Gilbert, who are doing this, that they brought this to the public's sphere, and now you might see something with the DOJ criminal referral and stuff like that.
Yeah, so it's interesting because these kinds of cases where it's all paper, right? It's a paper case. It's not like an assault where it's like, oh, this guy hit that guy. And a lot of times these cases are actually easier to prove because the evidence exists, right? I mean, think of it as simply as like filing a false instrument. We have cases like that. You've probably had cases like that when you were a police officer, but then expand that to a larger degree. more things that were filed than just one piece of paper. So if you're a prosecutor, you're going to hunt down all of those leads. You're going to want emails, you're going to want text messages, all of that data, and you're going to want filings, court filings. Then when you get all of that information from the paper, you're going to see names of people, right, in those papers, people who either participated in or knew about what was going on, and you have to follow the lead down that trail. You have to interview those people. You have to maybe treat them as little fish, right? Proffer them and say, look, you were a co-conspirator here. Maybe if you kind of tell us what happened here, did you feel pressure from her? Did you not really know what was going on? Tell us what happened and why you did what you did. And it might help strengthen a case against Tish James. I do think that there is something for her to worry about because, as you and I both know, and we've been talking about this throughout this whole episode, even, a lot of times people do things that are wrong, and sometimes they're not caught, or sometimes they are caught, like Eric Adams, and not prosecuted. But we all know that when there's an appetite for it, that's when you have to be worried. So Letitia James, she may have been doing all of these things, but like no one really cared, or maybe people didn't know about it as much as they do now, or they didn't have an appetite for it because maybe politically they needed to align with her. Whatever it is, the stars have now aligned. The stars have aligned in such a way where there's apparently some sort of evidence that exists against her, and there's an appetite to go after her. So with all of that together, I do think she needs to worry about what's going on here. It sounds like there's things unraveling and developing, right? You know better than anyone. You start pulling that thread and all of a sudden the whole sweater unravels at your feet, right? So I think, again, because of the fact that there's this attention now, there's going to be digging, and who knows what's going to come of it. And it's, people are saying she brought this energy on herself. Like, maybe she did. Maybe she did, because you have to understand that when you have lawfare, or when you do things because it's politically motivated, or not do things because it's politically motivated, you're going to start pissing off enough people that they're going to start looking into what you've done. And then she's going to have to deal with those consequences. Again, these are all allegations. We don't know, but it is something that she's probably speaking to a lawyer about, I would hope.
It was not the mistake that she claims it was. It was premeditated fraud.
How much did she benefit by from this? Give me a number.
All right. According to my calculations, now I don't have the exact terms of the mortgage. I had to use industry information. I estimate approximately $100,000, give or take.
Oh, so this is serious felony territory here now. $100,000 at the federal level. She defrauded the bank. Essentially, she defrauded the bank, right?
Right. But under U.S. law, and there's a Supreme Court case, I don't have it in front of me, but under U.S. law, they don't have to prove that she benefited financially. All the feds have to do is prove that she made a false statement to the bank, and that's what she did. Well, that's for the FBI to do in their investigation. In other words, what they're going to do is they're going to interview the mortgage broker, the bank loan officer. They'll interview Shanice Thompson, her co-buyer, co-borrower.
Right.
They'll interview everybody that was involved in that transaction. But in any case, irregardless of who they interview and what they say, the facts in black and white on pencil and paper from public documents say it's a fraud. And it is a fraud. Here's my guess, okay? Everything else I told you is fact, but when I say opinion. This is my opinion. I think that she was in a rush to respond to the DOJ inquiry, and she pushed them to write this hastily written response to it without actually researching the issues that are involved. In other words, by doing what he did, he actually buried his client instead of helping his client. He implicated her for mortgage fraud, because if you read what she had written, her lawyer had written in response, that basically seals the deal. She committed fraud.
Why did she have to? Now, I understand that she was mortgaging this place at almost 92%. Why did she have to claim joint tenancy? Was that necessary to get the Fannie Mae?
If it was tenants in common, it would be an investment property also, which would trigger certain covenants under Fannie Mae. She had to buy this as tenancy,
Joint tenants.
joint tenancy.
Joint tenants and right of survivorship, which is very common among close relatives, because what it essentially means is we're going to share the property equally, but if I die, it goes zoop right to the other owner.
Right.
What is your response? Comment below. That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe. Be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.